What if the way you think about money has almost nothing to do with how much you know about finance? What if the real difference between someone who builds lasting wealth and someone who struggles their entire life comes down to how their brain is literally wired? Today, we are going into the neuroscience and psychology behind people who are genuinely exceptional at managing money. And I promise you, what you are about to hear is going to challenge everything you thought you knew about financial success. Because here is the thing that most financial advice completely misses. The people who are best with money rarely look the way we expect. They are not obsessively checking stock tickers or lecturing everyone about budgets. Their advantage is invisible, and it is happening at a neurological level. Welcome to Wealthy Worry, where we break down finance, and yes, even the controversial side of psychology, into ideas that actually make sense. Today, we're diving straight into your brain. Don't worry, no surgery required, to uncover how people who truly master money actually think. Let us get into it. The first thing that stands out about people who are brilliant with money is that they barely think about money at all. I know that sounds completely backwards, but bear with me. Research from Cornell University discovered that people who automate their financial decisions, savings, bills, investments, end up accumulating significantly more wealth and report far less financial stress than people who manually manage everything. The reason goes deep into brain science. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for decision-making and willpower, has a finite capacity. Every single financial choice you make drains it slightly. People who master money have figured this out and removed the decision entirely. The right choice happens automatically. Their brain never has to fight itself. Now, here is something that genuinely surprised researchers. Many people with exceptional money skills describe debt as something they feel physically, not just conceptually, but as a real bodily sensation, something heavy, something that disrupts sleep, something their body rejects. Functional MRI studies out of Stanford show this is not just poetic language. For certain individuals, debt activates the same neural regions associated with physical pain and threat detection. Their brains were often trained in environments where consequences were immediate and real, so owing anything triggers a genuine alarm system. That discomfort is not pleasant, but it creates an almost involuntary drive to eliminate debt fast. Something else that separates these people is how they mentally process numbers. When they see a price tag, their brain does not just register a dollar amount. It automatically converts that figure into a percentage of monthly income, or into hours of their life spent working. That is not a skill they sat down and practiced. It is how their neural pathways fire. Research published in the Journal of Consumer Psychology found that people who naturally frame purchases in terms of labor time make dramatically more rational financial decisions. The emotional impulse of wanting something gets interrupted by an analytical calculation running in parallel. Is this worth 3 days of my life? That internal friction is automatic, not effortful. And here is where neuroscience gets genuinely fascinating. Most human brains are wired to get a dopamine reward from spending money. The anticipation, the purchase, the new thing, that is normal brain chemistry. But brain imaging research from the University of Pennsylvania found that some individuals experience that same reward center activation when they simply watch their savings balance increase. Their brains find accumulation pleasurable in the same biological way other brains find spending pleasurable. And the crucial difference is sustainability. The dopamine hit from a purchase fades within hours. The satisfaction of watching compound growth compounds right alongside the money itself. Here is one that seems completely irrational until you understand the underlying mechanism. People with high money management skills often agonize over small recurring purchases, but make large financial decisions with surprising ease. They will spend 20 minutes comparing coffee brands per ounce, but confidently put $10,000 into an index fund. The reason is that their brains recognize the compounding nature of repeated small decisions. MIT research from 2019 found that people who carefully optimize small recurring expenses build substantially more wealth than those who only focus on major purchases. Small decisions happen hundreds of times a year. The large decisions, by contrast, have often already been pre-decided through prior research. When the moment arrives, execution is automatic. Another pattern worth understanding is their psychological resistance to lifestyle inflation. As most people earn more, they spend more. Economists call it lifestyle creep. But people with exceptional money management feel genuinely uncomfortable when their spending starts catching up with their income. Research from the National Bureau of Economic Research found that individuals who consistently maintain a significant gap between income and spending accumulate wealth at rates that dramatically outpace their peers regardless of how much they earn. Their internal comfort zone does not expand just because their bank balance does. Now let us talk about something that sounds almost philosophical, but has real neuroscientific backing. These individuals have an unusually vivid and emotionally real relationship with their future selves. When they imagine themselves decades from now, that person does not feel abstract. That person feels present and real and deserving of consideration. Stanford researchers using virtual reality found that when people interact with aged versions of themselves, their saving behavior shifts dramatically. Some people have this connection naturally. When they consider a purchase, their future self has a literal voice in the conversation. That is not discipline. That is a different kind of neural modeling. One of the most counterintuitive patterns is what psychologists call affective forecasting. Most people experience buyer's remorse after a purchase. People who master money often experience it before. They run a mental simulation. They buy the thing. They feel foolish about it, and they feel that foolishness now in advance before any money changes hands. Princeton research from 2017 found that individuals with strong affective forecasting abilities in financial contexts make far fewer impulsive purchases and report higher long-term financial satisfaction. The brake on impulsive spending is not willpower. It is an accurate emotional prediction. These people also tend to carry detailed mental scenarios of financial catastrophe. Job loss, health emergencies, market collapse. They have walked through these scenarios repeatedly in their minds. Psychologists call this defensive pessimism. And Wellesley College research shows that defensive pessimists actually perform better in uncertain conditions because they have already emotionally processed the anxiety. For financially skilled people, this means emergency funds get built, income gets diversified, and leverage stays manageable. They are not paranoid, they are rehearsed. And then there is the hidden cost nobody talks about. Many of these same people experience genuine guilt around spending on themselves, even when they can completely afford it, even when they have exceeded every savings goal they set. Research from the Journal of Economic Psychology in 2020 found that high savers report more guilt around discretionary spending than people who save very little. Their brain has been so thoroughly trained to associate spending with loss that the training does not switch off when it should. Here is the most important concept underlying all of this. Neuroscientists call it delay discounting. It describes how much your brain devalues future rewards compared to immediate ones. Most people's brains heavily discount the future. $1 today feels significantly more real than $1 10 years from now. But people with exceptional money skills have flatter discounting curves. Future rewards feel almost as vivid and real as present ones. And that single neurological difference changes every financial decision they make. The simultaneously liberating and uncomfortable truth is this: if you struggle with money, you may not be lazy or undisciplined. Your brain may simply discount the future more heavily. That is not a moral failure. It is neurology. And the practical response is to build external systems that create the outcomes your wiring does not naturally produce. Automatic transfers, friction on impulse spending, gamification of savings goals. These create the same results without requiring you to have different brain chemistry. But we also have to acknowledge the real costs on the other side. People whose psychology naturally builds wealth often struggle with anxiety, with present moment enjoyment, with guilt about spending what they have earned. Neither wiring is objectively superior. One trades present experience for future security. The other trades future security for present experience. Our culture calls one responsible and one irresponsible, when really both are just different neurological responses to time and uncertainty. The actual goal, if there is wisdom here, is finding your own calibration point. Enough security that fear does not drive your daily life. Enough presence that you can actually enjoy what you have built. Enough future thinking to be prepared, but not so much that today disappears beneath the weight of tomorrow. Your brain is working with its own particular wiring, shaped by your childhood, your experiences, your neurology. Understanding that wiring is not about judging yourself. It is about working with what is actually there, instead of fighting a version of yourself that was never real to begin with. And that might be the most valuable financial insight of all. If this shifted how you see money and behavior, drop a comment and subscribe, because we are just getting started. If you liked this video and this topic of money psychology, or in general about psychology, please let me know in the comments and subscribe. There are a lot of good chats topics to talk about, and I am genuinely interested in this topic. Thank you for watching.